If you've ever been the one always texting first, rearranging your schedule to fit theirs, or swallowing your hurt just to keep peace, you already know how exhausting it is. And no matter how kind, patient, or understanding you are, they still pull away, go silent, or treat you like an option. Here's the harsh truth most relationship experts won't tell you. Constantly being the pursuer actually programs an avoidant to see you as their safety net. Being the reliable chaser doesn't make you irresistible. It makes you predictable to someone wired to avoid emotional dependency. Why would they chase something that's already chasing them? You've essentially trained them that they can have full access to you while giving minimal investment in return. But here's the flip. There are 4 quiet power plays, silent, subtle shifts in how you show up that make them feel the exact opposite. These aren't games. No ghosting, no pretending, no mind tricks. Just simple, grounded changes in your energy, timing, and boundaries that quietly flip a switch inside them. And suddenly, they're the one checking in, making plans, asking how your day was. The first power play, be emotionally unshakable. Most people panic when an avoidant pulls back. They overanalyze, send 3 texts, apologize for things they didn't do. You stay grounded. You don't match their chaos with more chaos. When they go cold, you don't beg. You breathe. You live your life like nothing's wrong. Because nothing is, your calmness becomes a mirror. They see their own instability reflected against your stillness, and it unnerves them in a good way. It makes them wonder why you're not freaking out, why you're not chasing. That quiet confidence, that's the first signal to their brain. This person isn't desperate. This person has value. And value? That's what avoidants chase. But here's the key. Combine this with strategic delayed responses. When they text you at 2 p.m., instead of immediately grabbing your phone, finish your project, attend your meeting, maybe even hit the gym. Respond when it naturally fits your schedule. This could be hours later, and that's perfectly fine. This delay does something powerful. For the first time, they experience what it's like to wait for you. Instead of getting that instant dopamine hit of your immediate response, they're left wondering, are you busy? Are you with someone else? Have you lost interest? This uncertainty triggers their attachment system in a way that certainty never could. The second quiet power play, let your life speak louder than your words. Avoidants don't care what you say. You could write them poems, send voice notes about how much they mean to you, promise you'll never pressure them, and it won't move a needle. What moves them is what they see. When you stop talking about how great you are and start living like it, something shifts. You go to that concert alone. You book that weekend trip with friends. You post that photo of you laughing at dinner. Not for their attention, but because you're genuinely having fun. And suddenly they notice most people shrink themselves to fit into an avoidance world. You expand yours so much that they have to step up if they want to be part of it. You don't disappear, but you become selectively present. You reply, but not instantly. You say yes, but only when it fits your schedule. You show warmth, but only when they've earned it. Even more powerful is when you subtly show that you're living your life fully without them. Post a story of you laughing with friends, but don't include them. Share something about an achievement or interest they don't know about. Let them see that their emotional withdrawal doesn't create a void in your life. Instead, it frees up space for other fulfilling experiences. This isn't playing hard to get. It's showing up as someone who has standards, someone whose time isn't free. And that's irresistible to an avoidant, because deep down, they're drawn to people who don't orbit them. They're drawn to people who have their own gravity. The third quiet power play, reward presence, ignore absence. This is where most people get it backwards. When an avoidant shows up, even a little, you light up, you respond with warmth. You smile, you give them your full attention. And when they vanish, you don't chase. You don't guilt trip. You don't send, hey, everything okay? Texts. You just keep living. You go to the gym. You call your best friend. You finish that project. You let silence be silence, not as punishment, but as proof that your world doesn't collapse without them in it. Avoidants are wired to test boundaries. They pull away to see if you'll panic. If you do, they feel smothered and run further. If you don't, If you stay calm, steady, even cheerful, that's when their brain flips. Wait, they're fine without me? But I like when they smiled at me. I like when they laughed at my joke. I want that back. So they inch closer. They send a meme. They ask how your week was. And when they do, that's your moment. You respond with warmth, with energy, with presence. You make them feel good for showing up, not for disappearing. Let's say you've just had a deep, vulnerable conversation in the past. When they inevitably pull back after this intimacy, you might send a text the next day trying to maintain that connection. But here's what you do instead. You pull back completely. You don't text. You don't call. You don't try to process the moment. You shift your focus entirely to other aspects of your life. This strategic distance creates a vacuum that avoidants feel compelled to fill. The avoidant who pulled away expecting you to chase suddenly finds themselves checking your social media more often. They notice you haven't texted, and for the first time, they experience what it's like to be on the other side of the distance. Over time, this pattern rewires them. They start associating effort with reward, silence with nothing, and that's when the chase begins, not because you forced it, but because you made connection feel valuable again. The fourth and most powerful quiet power play: master the art of the exit. The most powerful move: leaving interactions at their peak rather than their natural conclusion. Avoidants are accustomed to controlling when conversations end, when dates are over, when emotional exchanges conclude. When you consistently exit first, especially during positive moments, you flip the entire power dynamic. You're having a great phone conversation, lots of laughter, good energy. Right at that peak moment, you say, "This has been really fun, but I need to run. Talk soon," and you end the call. No long explanation, no apologizing, just a warm but definitive exit. They're left wanting more of that good feeling, wondering why you had to go. Or you're on a date that's going really well. The chemistry is flowing, they're leaning in, fully present. Instead of staying until the energy naturally depletes, you glance at your phone and say, "This has been amazing, but I've got an early morning. Let's do this again soon." You give them a warm smile and you leave. They're left processing what just happened, wanting more. This works in text conversations too. They're actually engaging for once, asking questions, showing interest. Right when the conversation is at its best, you send something like, "This is fun, but I'm heading out with friends. Chat later." And then you actually don't respond for the rest of the night, even if they text again. Your silence isn't cold, it's confident. It says, "I trust myself enough to wait. I value myself enough to not beg." By mastering the exit, you leave them wanting more rather than feeling satisfied. This creates a psychological tension that avoidants aren't used to experiencing. They start initiating more conversations, suggesting more meetings, try and secure longer interactions. Start